Yeah, if you can put a starter.
Okay. Okay. So hello everyone and welcome to a meeting. So today's training is about community level disability and inclusion, which will be conducted by Ma'am Asma Akbar. Ma'am Asma is an educational psychologist with a public health perspective, bringing over 30 years of dedicated experience to her mission of catalyzing positive change. Her impactful background spans educational organizations, community uplift projects, and impactful roles at institutions like the City School and Beaconhouse. As an instructor in Gender Studies and Sociology at Allama Iqbal Open University and Sarhad University, Ma'am Asma's influence extends to curriculum development and examination papers. Active with national and international organizations, including UNICEF and WHO, Ma'am Asma has led projects focusing on behavior change, curriculum development, and child safety protocols. Recognized for her intrinsic drive, resourcefulness, and commitment to mental health programs, Ma'am Asma is passionately engaged in creating meaningful, life-changing impacts. Colleagues describe her as a proactive force dedicated to positive, transformative in individuals' life. And she's now leading an initiative called the Society for Rehabilitation of Mentally Challenged Children. Over to you, ma'am, now.
Okay, thank you so much. And that was a lot, I think. A whole curriculum on Asma Akbar Ali. I think it's just enough to say that I'm here, part of you, and I'm so very happy to be able to share whatever wisdom or knowledge that I have. It's a great honor to be able to do that, especially when people like you are there who are willing learners who have enrolled onto the course themselves. So again, good evening, and let's hope that thank you for enrolling, and let's hope that you really enjoy our interaction today. Just a bit of things that I want to tell you is during the discussion, I really like it if we can have an interactive discussion. Ask me questions, put up your hand, ask me questions, and I would request Javado, Sunaina, whoever is moderating this, to please receive those questions and put them up when I ask you to. So, should we then start with the session today? How are you all feeling? Happy, excited?
We're really excited, ma'am.
Excited, ma'am.
This session.
Excited.
Excited.
Okay, great. So let's go. When we talk about community level disability and inclusion, so these are very big words. They are community, it's a level, it's a disability, and it's inclusion. So this is basically three concepts in one. So we will be integrating it and understanding disability within the perspective of community and how inclusion can actually take place. So can I have the next slide, please? So what we are going to do is this course has actually three modules. So module 1 is going to be on disabilities, and we will look at what are the types of disabilities. Module 2, we will be looking at the models or theories of disabilities and attitudes and behaviors, how they are formed and how they are looked into. And the third module, which is okay, the last one, but it will be built upon the module 1 and 2, is the disability and versus the differently able and the community and inclusion. Now, the process will be that we will have a pre-assessment and a post-assessment, which of course, I'll give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes to just, I hope you have your paper and pens with you. So you will put down the answers, and then you will, at the end of the session, you will again check if you were right, and if not right, then whether you have been able to accumulate the right knowledge or the right answers. As I said, I would love it to be interactive, so please ensure that you are participating and not lost somewhere in the dark. We have some videos to also share with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions and answers. questions at the end, or your comments, of course. And I have got some of your feedback as well to the question which said, what do you expect out of this course? So I have those comments of yours, and I would like to address them at the end of the session. So I have noted down all that, and I will definitely address those comments of yours and your expectations, obviously. Next slide, please. Okay, so we will identify disability. So discuss the types, models, explore disability versus differently able, community, discuss inclusion in the community. This is what we are going to do in this 2 hours. Next, please. Okay, so here comes your pre-assessment. Kindly write down the answers to these, whatever you have, whatever comes in your mind. What is disability? Kindly put it down in a one statement, no paragraphs. Just put down on your paper, what is disability to you? What it is to you? What is a disability? Tell me when you are done. Okay, name any one type of disability. Are you people writing? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that you know at the end of what you knew and what you did not, and what has improved in your knowledge. Okay, so name any model of disability. Do you know any theory or any model of disability? What is inclusion, and why is inclusion important? In your response to what you expect, you have all of you have written a lot on inclusion. So I really want to know what you think inclusion is and why is it so important to you. Have you done? Have you written?
Yes, ma'am.
Done? Okay. So let's go to the next. Everybody done? How many done? All done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Let's
Yes,
move
ma'am,
on.
we're done.
Okay, great. So let's move on. All right. So now when we talk about disability, we are actually talking about a limitation or a challenge or a condition of the body, which could be physically or of the mind, that makes it more difficult for the person to do certain activities. So disability is something which is limiting the activities, or providing a challenge for the activities to happen, to participate in the world around. For example, you're walking, watching, hearing, testing, whatever activity that anybody wants to take part in, that person, or maybe talking, that person finds it a bit difficult or is challenged because that mechanism is affected. Okay, so disability is only just a, say, challenge or a difficulty to do it. Now, is it an inability? That we need to explore today. That when we say it's disability, does disability actually mean inability, or does it only mean limitation? What do you think? What comes into your mind? What do you think? How would you look at disability? Would you look at it as a challenge or a limitation, or would you look at it as just not being able to do it, unable to do it? Comments? Nobody responding? You are not thinking anything?
Can you repeat the question?
It's a limitation. For me, it's a limitation.
It's a limitation. Absolutely. The question was, does disability mean unable to do it, inability, or does it mean a condition of the body or mind? Sometimes you want to do something. See, everybody is not learning engineering. Everybody is not doing medicine. Everybody is not becoming an electrician. Everybody is not becoming a nurse. Everybody is not becoming a lecturer. Why? Because you have some abilities and you don't have some, and you do not have the wish or the desire or the condition of the mind to adapt to everything. You prefer to do some things, and some things become a challenge to you. If you're forced to do something, then it becomes a challenge. It becomes a disability in a way, or it becomes a limitation. You don't want to do it because your mind does not accept it. Your mind feels happier in music than in doing the boxing. So this is something that we can relate to, that everybody has some kind of limitation. There is always a challenge, and there is always certain activities that you participate more happily, and your body and your mind accepts it more happily than other activities. So a disability is something that is basically a challenge to do an activity. Okay, so let's have the next slide. Do you all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not something that's abnormal. We need to understand that, because every time we look at a disability as they and us, it's not they and us, it's all of us, and it's like just a different variety of human being. You see, a disability or a person with a disability is a different type of a human being. We are all just like, I can give you an example, that suppose there were a mobile, which, you know, an ordinary mobile which is there, but it doesn't have many other accessories, like it cannot record, or it cannot have certain does not, what are some of the new things that you could say, extra accessories it does not have. It just has the ability to call and listen and talk to each other, but the other things, other apps, you cannot upload those apps and whatever the important things are there. So do you think that that mobile is not a mobile? It's just that that is a different kind of a mobile, whereas there are some more advanced mobile, means a different uh, type of a mobile, but all of them are basically, the basic function is mobile. In the same way, all of us are human beings. It's just that the variety is different, and God has given you those varieties in order for you to understand that you just don't have to depend on what you have. You have to learn to acquire other things in able to become more human, or in able to be not become human, but to be able to do all the human activities that are required of you to do. Am I making sense to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So let's have the next slide. Let's go to the next slide and look more into it. So WHO, World Health Organization, which is more of a health-oriented organization, obviously, has defined it, and it says that disability has got 3 dimensions. One is the impairment, which we say the challenge. We say that there is a challenge, or there is a difficulty. So that difficulty comes how? When the person's body structure or function or mental function, body function, whatever is limited, faces a challenge. For example, loss of limb, loss of vision, memory loss, or whatever, some kind of sometimes you just get those pins and needles on your leg and you can't just move it for a while. So that also is a temporary impairment, or a temporary difficulty. Okay, or when it's too cold, you get all frozen up, and your hands and legs and your body kind of feels much less active than otherwise. So impairment is one dimension only, that the person's body functions are challenged, or are impaired or limited. Okay, so that is one dimension. The other dimension is that you are unable to, there are some things. So there is activity limitation. Activity limitation would be that you are having difficulty in seeing, hearing, walking, or some problem solving. So you are not able to participate in in a certain activity just because you have a limitation. Now, the impairment and activity limitation, impairment is a challenge. The person is wanting to take part in it, but is taking part into that activity with some difficulty or with some facing challenges. Whereas the activity limitation is that there is a total absence of that requirement. So when you don't have the sight, you don't have the hearing, you don't have the legs, or you do not have the capacity to problem solve, then that ability is just compromised. So again, that will be a limitation, and that will have to be added on. As we said, the accessories in the mobile will have to be added on. In the same way, these accessories for sight, hearing, walking, or problem solving will have to be added on. And that's where technology comes in. That's where our new discoveries and our new technologies are coming in, and we can help them more to those people who are having these limitations. Then participation restrictions is when in your normal daily activities, such as working and engaging social recreational activities or healthcare or preventive services, there is discrimination. You do not allow people who look different to be part of the regular activities. You shun them, or you discriminate them, or you tell them, no, you cannot do this. It's not for you. For example, even the daily biases, gender biases, color biases, language biases, these are restrictions that are put onto an activity, onto people, that only these kind of people can attend, these kind of people cannot do this kind of activity, or whatever. For example, somebody would say, oh, you do not have legs, so you will not be able to take part in any sports, which is not correct, because it's just that he doesn't have the human legs, but there could be other ways of supplying that, or putting on those that possibility or that function. Okay, so 3 types of dimensions. One is the impairment or the limitation, the challenge, number 1. Number 2 is the activity is limited because of the absence of that accessory. And number 3 is the restriction or discrimination which comes from the society. So there are these 3 dimensions. Can we go to the next one, please? Okay, now this is all about what the definition is. Okay, so now do you have any questions here, or is it clear? Can I move on?
It's clear, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
All clear? Okay, so now let's look at the types of disabilities. When we talk about the types of disabilities, let's go back, please. Yeah. When we talk about the type, there is a physical or a physiological. Physical meaning the outer, the hands and the legs and the fingers and the ability to move. Okay, this is your physical. Now, why I have put down there physiological there is because this physical ability is there because there is a system inside the physiological system which is helping it run. So even if you have the hands, but the physiology is not working, then that is going to become a disability or a challenge. So that's why physical or physiological is number 1 category. Number 2 category is your developmental, cognitive, or intellectual, which affects your communication, learning, and retaining information. So these days, it's a lot about, oh, this person is having learning difficulty. So we do not say that they are disabled. We are just saying that they are having difficulty. So communication difficulties, somebody is stammering, or somebody takes a while to pronounce a certain word or to pronounce a certain language or something like, then that is a disability, a challenge. However, this could also be because there is some developmental interference. There is some disease pattern. So it could also be that. And therefore, even if there is a disease in this kind of an area, development area or intellectual area or your cognition area, which is impacting, for example, autism, then that will fall into this category. The third is your sensory categories, which is your sight, smell, touch, hearing, and spatial awareness. Okay, so again, this is your third type of disability. And the fourth is your mental disability of thinking, emotional state, and behaviors. People who are not emotionally intelligent, who are not emotionally able to curtail their emotions or able to behave in a certain manner which is culturally acceptable or not acceptable. So there are people, and this is all maybe culturally defined as well. So you cannot say that disability has only one definition. It is also culturally defined. As we go ahead, you will see that some of the models, and you will understand why communities react or behave in the way that they do. So when a certain behavior, people are unable to accept your idea, it could be either that they face a challenge, or they are emotionally so impacted by a previous trauma or a previous experience that they cannot talk about reassurance or talk about patching up or talk about relationship in a positive manner. This has impacted them, and therefore it has become a limitation, a emotional behavior or an emotional limitation. Yes, 4 categories: physical, intellectual, developmental, or whatever you want to call it, sensory, and behavior. So these are 4 main categories, and there are several limitations which fall within these categories. Can I have next? If you have questions, you may ask me. Next.
No
Next, please.
question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Only I have question. How can we support the disability person, and how can we provide them? Sorry, there's so much crowd here.
How can we provide?
Yes, how can we support the disability person?
Okay. There we
How
are.
can-
First,
and-
let's come to the support level later. First, let's understand what disability is. And one thing again is they are not them. They are us. They are part of us. That's what inclusion is, and we'll come to it. Okay. They don't need your support. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is you have a difficulty. For example, you cannot get up early in the morning. It's a challenge. Or you are addicted to tea in the morning. It's become your addiction. Okay. So what happens? Is that somebody going to come and support you, or are you going to deal with the challenge yourself?
And how can we stop how can we stop people when they have discrimination against them? How can we stop them?
Okay, Leland, this discrimination, yes, how can we stop them? This is what we will talk about at a later stage, but hold on to that question. It's a good question. Hold on to it. We need to stop discrimination once by accepting that we are all the same. But let's look at the disabilities here. Is visual disabilities, as I said, this is very, very much something that people are worried about. They cannot see, but there's something like an inner eye. People cannot see what you can see, but they can see from the feeling. They feel the things and they can tell you. Auditory disabilities, mobility disabilities, neurological, again I'm emphasizing on your cognitive disabilities, which is your mental processes, and your medical disabilities. Now here comes one of the things, which is your medical disabilities. There are some people there are 3 types of categories. There's mild, and there's moderate, and there's severe. Now there are severe categories which are medical disabilities. For example, there is muscle dysfunction, or there is schizophrenia, or there is a very major paralysis, for example. These are all conditions, medical conditions, and they do restrict the person. So these are some of the medical disabilities which are there, but not all. For example, if a person does not have the sight, does not mean that he is medically disabled. Okay, it just means that a person is with a disability.
Yes, okay, thank you. And another question: the Mongolian, the Mongolian person it's also a disability. Mongolian.
Yes.
Mongolian.
Yes, that is a developmental disability. Okay, because it is your neurological.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. So psychological disabilities can be because you are having attention difficulty, you are unable to regulate. So all these kinds of disabilities are there. Again, my message here is that a disability is a challenge unless there is a medical condition, or there is a unreversible condition, or which is something like they cannot function without another assistance. If, for example, a paralysis patient is there and is unable to function at all, despite the support that's been given, then that person becomes a disabled person. Otherwise, that person is only facing a difficulty. So we do not label them. That's what my message is, that we don't label them. Do you agree? Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
All right, next slide, please. I hope it will get more and more interesting as we go forward. So this is something for you to do. Here is a list of disabilities I have written. You have to categorize it into a physical, development, sensory, or behavior. Do it on your paper. Vision, where are you going to put the vision? Is it a physical, developmental, sensory, or behavior disability? Vision, they cannot see. What kind of disability would that be? Somebody?
Sensory, perhaps, ma'am?
What kind of
Visual.
disability is vision?
I think
Vision.
sensory.
Sensory.
ma'am.
Sensory.
It's sensory.
Hearing.
Sensory.
It's also sensory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thinking.
It's
Developmental.
sensory.
Behavior.
Oh,
Thinking.
I think behavior, ma'am.
Thinking.
behavior.
Intellectual.
Behavior, emotional.
Thinking. Cognition. How
Thinking
do
is
you solve problems?
developmental.
Developmental.
Yes.
Developmental.
Developmental. Absolutely. I don't know what I done. I lost the thing screen. Okay. What about learning?
It's
It's
developmental.
development as well.
It's intellectual.
Intellectual. Absolutely. What about the next one? Movement.
It's
Physical.
physical.
I have lost you.
Physical
Just a moment. Physical. What about the next one? Mental health.
Cognitive.
Emotional or behavior?
Behavior.
It's psychosocial. It's
Mental-
psychological, sorry.
It says mental and it says health.
It's psychological.
It's a behavior
Psychological.
or emotional. Absolutely. What about remembering? Remembering.
It's developmental. It's about thinking.
Developmental.
Okay. Developmental is cognition. Okay. When you are 1 year old, those milestones. What happens at 1 year? What happens at 2 years? What happens at 3 years? So if it's your mental health is impacted by anything at that time, what happens? Your behavior changes. So it becomes a behavioral disability. Am I correct? Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's not that it's because of the cognition or it's because of some disturbance in the intellect. It's because You have experienced something, your emotion and your behavior has learned to react in such a manner. Okay, remembering, we've said communication. What about remembering and communication? Remembering, memory.
Emotional?
It's
Emotional?
intellectual.
Intellectual. Memory is remembering, or memory, of course, if it has to come from your cognition and development, right? And communication. What about communication? Is it a developmental or is it a behavioral?
It's emotional
Development.
behavior.
Development and behavior, both.
Developmental.
See, when a child is born, it has to be taught to speak and to communicate, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So what
It
could
is
it be?
developmental.
It is developmental, because
It's developmental,
otherwise,
yeah.
if you don't teach the child the language, it will learn some other way of communicating, but that is why it will still be the cognition, will use the brains to communicate. So if it's not just by behavior, they cry is a way of communication, and then once they start getting words, they become more and more intellectually sound. What about social relationshiping?
Behavior?
Behavior.
Yeah, behavior. Okay.
Behavior, ma'am.
Yes, behavior. It's emotional, isn't it? You get angry with somebody, you don't want to talk to that person anymore. So it's your social relationship. It's nothing to do with your brains. So what about spinal cord injury?
Physical.
Physiological. Physical and physiological. The inner organs, the systems have to function along with that. So it has stopped functioning. Your head injuries. What about the head injuries?
It's also physical.
Physical.
Physical and physiological. Yes. Invisible. Something that's not visible. It's in your mind. It's a belief system.
Emotional. Developmental.
Belief system. Belief. Your heart. I believe that he is a bad person. I believe that it is a curse of God. I believe that that person is suffering from loss of hearing because he was a bad person. I believe he got this punishment from God. So that all is, and I believe he is unable to see because he's got some problem. So what is that?
Emotional.
Cognition.
Belief system, emotional. Okay, so that person can, the self person can limit themselves, or you could not see. Suppose a person has been so traumatized, or has been beaten up in your childhood, or has faced some kind of a trauma in whatever phase of life, and has stopped to express those emotions. So it's not visible for you, but that person, the trauma, the feeling inside, which has stopped communication, is inside. You are not able to see it, but it is there. So it is within the belief system that I am a bad person, I should not be talking, otherwise I am going to face problem. Okay, agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about psychological. What about psychological?
It's developmental.
Psychological.
Emotional.
It's emotional. Your psychology is mainly dictated by your emotions and your behavior pattern, though there may be a bit of your way of thinking or cognition, but usually it is not the brain telling you. It is, you can manage your good health, you can manage to be happy, you can manage to be sad, you can manage to be angry, just because you are emotionally charged. And that charging of the emotion is not because of your cognition. The mind does not give you any intellectual formula to be happy. It is within you psychologically to be happy. So it is more to do with your heart and your emotions. Heart does not mean the blood circulation. Am I making sense? Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear.
We are following.
Okay.
Yes,
And
ma'am. Got
schizophrenia
it.
is a medical condition. I have lost the screen. I don't know why. Yeah, so schizophrenia, what about schizophrenia? It's a medical condition, so it's going to be physiological. Physiology is the anatomy and physiology. Anatomy, how your respiratory system works, how your urinary system works, how your digestive system works. This is all physiology. As I said, you may have the hands, but if the hands does not have the physiology, the circulation, the blood circulation, then it will not be able to move. So with the physical, the physiology, which is making it move and making it happen, is important. So when you talk about physical, you have to talk about the physiological, which is making it move. So it's like having a switch, but if you put on the switch and there's no electricity, then the physiology is not there, just the physical is there. Okay, so that's important. So is this clear, the types of disabilities? Is it clear for you?
Yes, clear, clear. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
let's go for the
ma'am.
next slide. I don't know why I have lost the whole screen. Okay, can we go? So invisible disability. When we talk about the invisible disability, why have I lost the screen? It's either a physical, mental, or neurological condition that is not visible from the outside, yet can limit or challenge the person's movement, senses, or activities. For example, the person is a little bit not feeling okay, is very sad, does not want to, is mentally disturbed, does not want to go out or does not feel like doing any work, and so limits himself or herself. What would you think that? You are saying the person is okay, but the person is saying, I'm not able to get out of bed today, I'm not well. But you are saying there's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong with you? Please come out. We have to go for work today. But the person saying, no, I'm not able to go today. What is that?
Fear? They got fear?
Yeah, fear or whatever. This is known as an invisible disability. You cannot see it, but the person is feeling the challenge. The person is feeling disabled. The person is feeling a difficulty. So you don't see it, and just because you don't see it, you don't understand it, and you may misunderstand it. So there may be sometimes people who appear to be very healthy, who appear to be quite sound, and who appear to be just everything fine, but they are just unable to carry out some functions. For example, as you mentioned, fear. Some people have fear of water, and you all go swimming, and everybody jumps into the water, and there's one person who's not jumping into the water and is very fearful or starts getting some kind of condition, or it starts getting cramps or starts behaving awkward, and you wonder what is wrong with this person. All we are doing is showing him or her water, and this person is behaving in such a crazy way. So it's because there is an invisible condition, invisible difficulty, which you are unable to see, and therefore you are going to make a different judgment of that person. For example, pain. Can you see pain?
No, we can't.
No, you cannot. But the person is saying, I am in pain. But you are going to say, is pretending. Some person is going to say, I'm very, very tired. I am just not able to move myself. But you are saying, look at him, he or her doesn't want to go to work, so he's taking out reasons for not doing work. Okay, so there are some invisible problems, invisible challenges, which, for example, learning differences. Some people can pick up language fast, some people cannot pick up languages. They feel difficulty in doing that. Some people, for example, dyslexia. Some people have had some kind of an injury or some kind of a difficult childbirth, then is going to have some learning difficulties, and then you are going to say it just doesn't want to learn. We have seen many teachers punishing children that, yeah, punishing children that, this person just cannot learn. Yes, exactly. It suffices to say that there are different types. Okay, next, please. Okay, so here we have kept on saying that a disability is a impairment or a limitation. So when does this disability actually become a disability? And if today, for example, if today I'm not feeling I have severe pain in my back, or I have pain in my legs, or I have some kind of a problem, and I am facing a challenge, or I'm feeling dizzy, I'm feeling not happy. So it's a limitation for me. But when does it become a disability? It becomes a limitation, becomes a disability when it is prolonged for a long time. When it is more than 6 months and the same condition is prevailing, then that becomes a disability and a condition which you will be concerned about. If not that, then that is not a disability. It's just a limitation or a challenge the person is feeling. Now, most times what we do is, if somebody complains a little that I'm having pain in my legs, then we immediately say, oh, you are having a problem, we have to take you to the doctor, we have to see what is wrong with you. So actually what we have to do is, we have to ensure that we don't label every action. Every action is not a disability. Every action is a reaction to the environment. It is only the environment, it is the situation which has made the person to behave in that certain manner. So a limitation is only becomes a disability if the same behavior, same problem, same pain, same fatigue, same difficulty continues to be for a 6 months period or more. Then you try to take it as a condition to worry about, that this could probably leading to some kind of a disability, or a functional or a neurological or a sensory difficulty, which is going to be a long term. Right? Clear? So you don't label immediately. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, continue to interact with me, so I know, because I cannot see you people and I have lost my screen as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. Up to here, any question, any comments?
No, ma'am.
All clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, Patricia has raised her hand. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You were saying that we should not be quick to label someone, especially if they start complaining for things that we cannot see, unless it prolongs for about 6 months. But you see people that just want to pretend and want attention, and you even know that they are just pretending, and they grow with that. What do you do with people like that?
So what is that? Isn't that an emotional disability? It's not. It is deviated, isn't it? They are pretending to do something. A behavior is changed. This is a changed behavior. Normally, you would not be angry or pretend or want attention from somebody. For example, there is a fight between the husband and the wife, and the wife doesn't want to talk to the husband, or the husband doesn't want to talk to the wife, or this could be for the boyfriend, girlfriend as well. So they could pretend to be unhappy, but it is not going to prolong unless what happens, it becomes a changed behavior. That becomes a behavior which is normally adapted. So isn't that becoming a disability? Not to be able to normally behave and relationship within the relationship. So that is going to affect that relationshiping, the social interaction. Because if they continue to behave and pretend, it is becoming part of themselves. Yes, Patricia?
Yes,
Do
ma'am,
you
it's
agree?
clear. Yes, yes, yes.
Clear?
Now,
It is deviating. You are deviating from the normal. It is
okay.
becoming their normal. It is becoming their normal. You are thinking that they are pretending. They are not pretending anymore. It is become them. So they are having
So
some.
when it becomes them, do we have to let them be aware that they are having a problem now?
It is an emotional disability. It is an emotional. They are unable to deal with their problem. That is why they are pretending like as if it's not there or as if it's there. You understand? So this is becoming a disability. It has to be if they have to look for help, they will need a disability counselor here.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor. Okay. Yes. Who? Yes, please. Olius, do more.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. The presentation is very informative. I must confirm from this side. But then my question is very critical. Is it possible to identify one's disability? For example, you know, there are people that play victim in every situation. For them, if they're in any relationship, something happens, they're always the victim. Now, if you find yourself always the victim, is it possible to identify your own, you know, degree of disability and try to seek maybe self-help, or you can only get external help? Thank you.
Good question. Again, the same, it lies to, it has a same kind of an impression. For example, again, you are saying somebody who is playing victim, okay, is trying to behave like as if it is not that person who's having an emotional or a relationship problem, but the other person, the person different is causing a problem. So this is an emotional disability, and yes, it has to be identified. It has to be treated as well. Now, these emotional behavioral disabilities or challenges are when people begin to deviate from the normal and they start thinking that I am really the victim. It's not that they are pretending anymore. They have told themselves and they have reinforced themselves and they have now begin to feel that they are victims. They have to be brought back to the paradigm of normality where you can tell, where you have to tell them and ensure them that everybody feels affected sometimes. Everybody feels that I was not treated well. It was not fair with me. Everything is never good for everybody. There is always a bad time and a good time and a bad time and a good time. Sometimes things were fair for you, sometimes things were not fair for you. You worked very hard for the exam, but yet you got only 60%, whereas the person who was fooling around and playing football all the time got a 80%. So you feel affected, but this is because you are feeling affected. Your emotional behavior, your emotion is telling you that you are being treated unwell. Behind that whole thing is a belief system where you are saying, you know, this person is this, my teacher does not like me. That's why he gave me 60%. I wrote completely good answers, but the teacher did not understand my explanation. Or it's just that I think differently and that one is too rigid. So this is not normal to feel victimized for a long time. For a short time is okay to cry and to mourn and to feel sad and to feel sorry and to feel everything. But for a short time, if you are continuously behaving like that, everybody is victimizing you, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your child, and everybody is victimizing you, then you need to understand that you are having an emotional disability, an emotional behavioral challenge. There is a problem of coping with society, coping with normality. Have I answered your question? Have I answered your question?
Yes, ma'am, you've answered my question loud and clear. Thank you.
Another, however, a part of it is not answered, where you said, are we able to identify it? Absolutely. When you have said that my brother feels that everybody is against me, and my brother thinks that my mother is partial, my father is partial, everybody is against me, then definitely you will have to go for help, psychological help, because just that feeling is not right. If for 6 months continuously children grow up with this feeling. I have seen children start feeling left out, start feeling discriminated, and then they continue to become 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and that behavior continues in the school, in the society, in the marriage, and everywhere, and they are unable to maintain relationships. So if it was not identified and not taken help of, it becomes normal for that person to behave like that. That personality develops like that. So that it's not that after that, once it has become part of you, then this is you, then it is that person. Okay, so it has to be an early diagnosis. That is why we say 6 months continuously same behavior, you catch hold of them. Okay. Okay, anybody else had any questions? Can I move on? Ready to move on?
It's clear for me.
Okay, so now let's look at model and theories. Here, we talked about it, and there were many of you who said, I am interested in theory, and somebody said, I'm interested in models. So what is the difference between a theory and a model? What is a theory and what is a model? Model for disability and a theory for disability. What is the difference? Somebody? Sally had asked a question, but she did not then tell me what the question was. But anyway, Sally, can you tell me what is the difference between a model and a theory? When you say theories on disabilities and when you say models on disabilities, what are we talking about? Is it different or is it the same? Anybody?
Ma'am, I think
nobody wants to answer. Have people left?
Ma'am, I think theory is something that is suggested. That's not completely, a practice on anyone, but modules are practice, and it's a way that anyone can use and practice it on someone else too. Yeah, it's something practicable.
Absolutely. So a theory is an idea. It could be a scientific theory. It could be a proven theory. It could be an idea. It could be a concept. And you say, and that's a theory. Okay, a theory. But the theory does not tell you how to go about it. It is just a kind of a design, a kind of a framework, a kind of a idea inside you. Okay. Yeah, just a minute, Leland. So it's just an idea with you, all right? But a model is your way ahead. Oh God, what have I done? Can you see me?
Yes, ma'am, we can see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so a model is your steps, or it's let's say it's design. It's a work plan of how to go about it. And this work plan or a design of working is based on some kind of a theory. Okay, so if we here today are sitting and discussing on disabilities, then there was a theory that there is a ability and a disability and normal and not normal and deviation and not deviation. So there is a theory which is telling us this, and now we are looking at what are the ways of coping. So the ways of coping are coming from the models of where is this whole model is going to be. How are we going to cope with this situation? That is the model. But the theory is the idea that disability is there. Clear?
Can we say that models are drawn on the basis of theories?
Absolutely. Model is the work plan.
Likewise in the research. Yes.
Theory. Yes.
Almost
so the
every
theory
researcher.
is the soul. The theory is the soul, and the model is the physical. like research. You have a theory and then you have a work plan, isn't it?
Yes, I got. Model simplifies ideas about any cause and effect, while theories aim for deeper understanding or critical understanding. Theories
Absolutely.
drawn
So the
on
theory
model,
is
but
what?
go further in
Absolutely.
analysis and examination in the causes, implication, or lived experiences, any cause of infect.
Absolutely. So theory has to be, it could be proven, it could be not proven. It could just be a life learning theory. People talk about the words of wisdom. Does it have a theory? Yes, they have their life theory.
Yes.
Okay?
The
So
difference between model.
theories can be proven, theories can be proven and can be unproven. Theories can be scientific or they can be not scientific. But theory is a theory, and then based on that theory, you make a work plan, and your work plan is your model. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Any questions? Can we go next? Okay. Give us the
I want to add
website.
something. I want to add
Ask.
something.
Yes, please ask.
The difference between disability model and
Theory.
disability model and theory.
The
Yeah,
model is
the theory is about the culture, about the culture like this, and the disability model is about the medical model like this. Okay, I don't know.
the
Yes.
theory is your wisdom. Okay, it's a wisdom. Can you see wisdom? Can you prove wisdom? Yes and no. There has to be a wisdom. From the wisdom comes the formula. You understand what I'm saying? And that formula has to be implemented. So culture, the wisdom that comes from the culture becomes the theory for that culture, and based on that theory, they devise things to do. Okay? For example, some of the practices, health practices, there is a theory that if you eat certain kind of a plant, it is going to be helpful for you. Or if you do this kind of a voodoo, it will help you to do this. These are theories that based on which there are some models or there are some work which has been implemented. Now, theories can be scientifically proven, changed through time, and modified through time, and models will depend upon the kind of theory you are having. Is it clear? So just like you said, it can derive from culture, it can derive from lessons, it can derive from somebody's mathematical equation. Okay? Yes, Ahmad had a question.
Yes, ma'am. Could you?
Ahmad?
Could you
Ahmad
hear me,
had
ma'am?
raised his hand. Do you have a question?
Yes, Ahmed, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. I wanna just have a question, dear respected ma'am. We have talked about a difference between theory and model. Just I wanna ask, is there similarity between model and theory, or they are completely different from two?
Sorry? Go again, Ahmad. Can you repeat your question, please? Hello?
I think, ma'am, you asked that is it similar or it's different?
Is it similar or different? It's absolutely, that's what we are trying to say. For example, you have brought a piece of cloth. Okay? Now this is a very lay example and it should not be quoted, but just so that you can understand it. Or let's say you have got a lot of sand near your house, and you have, or cement or sand or whatever, you have got it near. Now from that sand you want to make a model, you want to create something, you want to create and any instrument, any item. Okay, so what happens is that theory was in your mind that from this sand or from this cement I can create a vessel, I can create something. So that creation came from a theory, from an idea, from some thinking, isn't it? So a model is your work plan, is how to do it, whereas your theory is your idea that you have conceived. Your idea can be an argument, can be a calculation, can be you can be tested scientifically, cannot be tested, it can just be an idea forever. So this is what a theory is. Now, is it clear? Can I move on? So today we are talking about the
Yes,
model.
ma'am.
Thank you. So now let's talk about the models on disability. And when you look at the model, when you will discuss the model, you will realize the theory that it is coming from. Let's go next. Yes. Is somebody asking something?
Ma'am, I just want to add something on the model.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Welcome.
Model is an ideal framework or plan. Models are based on assumptions held by those proposing or advocating them. Models guide curriculum design, implementation, and development. While a theory is an idea that explains something.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For example, you just very well explained and very well put. You cannot put everything in the curriculum, but what is in the curriculum is based on some kind of a theory, isn't it? It's much vast, and it depends. Your curriculum depends upon the stages of what stage you want. The same curriculum is taught at different levels in a different way, but the theory is the same.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. That's what I wanted to add on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very, very nicely put. Thank you so much. Now let's look at some of the models. And like you people have shown concern that why the communities behave in the way that you behave. Lillian had asked questions, and many of you, why they behave in a certain manner and why we do not, and why some behave in another way. Now, this all models that they have, their behavior is a model. Behavior is a model. You are behaving in certain way because you have a theory in your mind. You have a belief in your mind. You have things that you let's say you have an idea. So here is how people look at disability. Now there is a charity or a moral model, which means an idea that these people are they don't have the capacity to live independently. Charity means these people need help. They are so helpless and hopeless people. They can just not live. They don't have the capacity to live independently, and they must be cared for, and therefore they have to have separate facilities, and the community has to make decisions for them, what they will eat, how they will eat, when they will eat, what they will do, and which programs they will attend, which they will not attend, not realizing that this is coming from the idea that they are morally not, let's say, morally not able to look at the whole person as a person. They are just looking at the disability and not looking at the person. So the charity model looks at the disability and says, oh my God, these people are hopeless people. They have nothing to do, and they don't have hands, or they have some problem with their thinking, or they are unable to learn faster. They are not able to repair a machine when it goes wrong. So these people are just hopeless, and they do not. And because this one has got no hands, so they just don't have the capacity. So that is one model, and communities who believe in such a model, who believe in such a thing, are going to be very are going to be giving a lot of charity. They are going to be looking for people for help, and they will be giving charity and making them more hopeless and helpless. So this is a model. There are societies in which the disabilities are not attended to, but they are said that they are going to be like that forever. So we need to help them, and so they will be helped in all ways, and they will be made into beggars or into dependents. So this is a model of charity. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So there
Yes,
are
yes, ma'am.
communities. Communities are believing that these people are just not going to be able to live independently. They don't have the capacity. So there is a theory behind their thinking. Okay. And if you tell them, please, maybe if you give them prosthetic hands or legs or something, they can help. And people is going to say, oh, useless. Why do you want to bother with them? They just can't do it. You see, so this is a theory or a model which comes from charity, that if you do charity, they are support. In the same way, moral model is when you say this is a result of a sin, or maybe the evil spirits have possessed them, or maybe in the past life karma, they were, they mistreated somebody, they were bad people, and now in this life they are seeing the curse, they have got this curse, and this is how God is testing them. So disability is becoming a result of a sin, or result of some of them being bad. So they are stigmatized. So people who differentiate that we are good people, they are bad people, they are bad and they have got this difficulty, they've got such a big illness, they've got this problem, he's become blind, he cannot hear, she cannot sit well, she cannot walk, she has this big problem, is because she was a bad person in the previous life, or she is even this life God is testing. So if you are born with a disability, maybe if she's okay, the parents were bad people. So, we know that family, they have been very bad people all their life. So now these people are born like that. So in these communities, they are going to react to disabilities in that way, because they believe that this is a moral um, purpose. There is some kind of a God's will in this purpose, and that we are the good and they are the bad. There is a discrimination here. And in those kind of communities, you will see a lot of people who are going to be doing a lot of rituals in order for cleansing their sins. And people take them or tie them to the trees or tie them in the rooms, and they feel ashamed to show that my child has got a problem or I have a problem. They are locked away separately, because the thinking, their mind, that model, that community believes that this is a part of the religious doing. Okay. So again, behaviors of the communities are because there is some theory in their mind, and that theory comes into play by the behaviors and by the models and by the work plan. Is it making sense to you now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
next. Let's look at the next
Yes,
model.
ma'am.
Then there is a medical approach. Now, the medical model looks at disability as something which is abnormal. So if the medical model or the medical model says that a person who is to be healthy has to have two hands, two legs, two eyes, one nose, and their body has to function like this. They have to eat so much, sleep so much, drink so much, whatever. Okay, so this is a medical model in which the medical model has defined normal. If you don't fit in that normal, then you are abnormal. This is a problem with the medical model. They believe that normal has got to be like this. So if anything that is not falling within that normal pattern, that person is abnormal, will be labeled. Okay. So from their perspective, just because a person has got some disability or some limitation in their body or in their mind, the doctors or the medical model believe that this is an imperfect person. This is not a perfect person. This is not a normal person. So this is a disability. Somebody, can you hear me well? Jawad, is everything okay?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Okay. So doctors will tell you that this disability is, you are abnormal, you have a problem, you are pathologically, you are not correct, you are just not functioning, your body is not functioning in the way it should function. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, although there's some...
Yeah, but there are other ways of doing the function. As I told you, that if there is a machine that does not have all the accessories within the machine, but the accessories can be attached separately and it can function well, then it is a good thing, isn't it? The machine is all right. In the same way, the human being is just a different variety. God has given a different variety. It has less apps. So you can just fix in those apps and it can, or those accessories, and make it into a equal to all others. So for medical, they don't accept anything different from normal. They have defined that this is normal and these are the normal ranges. And if you are not fitting into that system, then you are abnormal. And that is why many medical institutions or doctors or nurses or whoever, the whole health team, look at that person as a body and not as a person. They forget the person's dignity, worth, human rights of people, and they just look at the abnormal. They have to treat the abnormal to become normal, and so they will tell you, operate, get you operated, get you doing this treatment, or just lie down here. They will not take care of your dignity, or if whether that person is being shared privacy, is being asked any questions. We have seen many times that the medical team does not even talk to that person with disability, but talks to the caretaker. What is the problem with this body? What is the problem with this person? But the person himself or herself can communicate that what is my problem. But the people don't want to talk. The medical team will say, no, this person is not normal. So, and by the way, when we talk about disabilities, we don't say this person is disabled. You say this person is a person with a disability. He is not disabled. He is able, but he has got some kind of a challenge. So if you treat the challenge, he will become able. Okay, if it does. So we will call them person with disability, not disabled people. They are not disabled. They are able, except that they have some kind of a challenge or limitation which has to be. But the medical people don't accept that. They will tell you that because you don't have a hand, you are abnormal. However, we will fix your abnormality and you will look just like a normal person. That is what they will tell you. We will fix this. You will look like a normal person. Okay. Is that clear? Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's understood.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we'll give you. Okay, let's go next, please. Now comes the social model. The social model is the model that does not recognize that, you know, disability is because of the person's limitation. Social model says that there is something in the environment. The environment is not devised or is not conducive to them. For example, if a person is on a wheelchair and wants to go up on the third floor, then there is no lift there, or there is no way of going up there, then is it the person with disability at fault, or is it the design of the society which is at fault? What do you think?
The problem is, ma'am, may I come in? May I come? The problem is with the economics.
Yes.
The design was not meant for a person with impairment. It was meant for the so-called normal bodied. But oh, thank you.
Absolutely, I agree. So what you are saying is that the design is only made for some type of human being, and the other type of human being are not part of that design. It is only
Yeah, and some people and they react or act the disability person like they are not humans.
Okay, so therefore, all your buildings, all your roads, all your society, your your attitude, your institutional organizations, your communication. For example, if somebody is blind and is unable to read what we are able to read because of the sight, they don't have the sight, but they have a language, but we don't have the kind of the communication in their language. So we say they are not all right. So actually, social model says that it is how you plan your society and how you are doing your infrastructure. If your infrastructure is not catering to all human beings equally, and then you are blaming that human being that why those human beings are not able to access our communication and our staircase and our cars and our roads and our facilities, then you have not planned for it. You are biased. You have got social or society environmental barriers. So actually the social model says that disability is a diversity. All human beings are equal, but they are different breed. They are different kind of humans. So for that different kind of humans, you have to have a different kind of facility if you are treating everybody as humans. You understand? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So you cannot say that we don't have money. That's why those people who don't have legs should stay at home. And only those people who have legs can come to our hospital or come to school. But those who don't have legs should stay at home. Or we cannot say that, okay, just because they have a problem with that, they have muscle atrophy, so these kind of people should not come to the university because we don't have any facilities for them, they stay at home. That's being inhuman, isn't it? That's being lack of planning. So here is the answer to a lot of questions that you people are saying, how to support, advocate your governments, your infrastructure, all your organizations, that we don't need special places. We need those facilities in the normal places so they can access that normal places and they don't become dependent on you. You are making them dependent because you are making the spaces only suitable for you. Okay, can I have that video, please? Leland, we will take your question after the video. Jawad, can you run the video, please?
Okay, sure.
Video number one.
Okay.
Let's look at this video. Maybe it will help you a bit. Yes, this one.
We need to talk about disability. You might hear people say that disability is caused by barriers in society. But what does that actually mean? Well, think about this. If someone who uses a wheelchair can't get into a building because of some steps, is the barrier caused by the person using a wheelchair or by the design of the building? If a blind person can't read the timetable for a train, what's stopping them from getting the information they need? If a child with learning difficulties is struggling in class, is it the child's responsibility to learn in the way they are taught, or the teacher's responsibility to teach in the way that the child can understand? For years, society has viewed disability as a problem that belongs to the disabled person and said that we should focus on fixing that person's impairment.
The social model of disability says that disability results from the way society is organised, rather than by a person's impairment or difference.
There is no right or wrong way to be. We are all different. We are all unique, diverse individuals.
We need to remove the barriers that stop disabled people from participating in society fully, on an equal basis with everyone else. We need to design buildings so that everyone can access them.
We need to ensure information is accessible to everyone so we can all participate in public life.
And we need to ensure that every child has the opportunity to learn and grow into the best person they can be.
When barriers are removed, disabled people can and will be equal in society.
With control over their own lives.
Not to mention all the other groups who benefit from a more inclusive and accessible society.
It's time to talk about disability differently. It's time to build our places and spaces differently. It's time to change attitudes and realise that we are all different and unique, and that an inclusive society is a better society for everyone.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Authorised by Jordan Steele John, the Australian.
Okay, forget it. All right. So what do you think? Does this make sense to you? Can we go back to the slides?
To the slides, please. Ma'am. It was very well made.
So does this make sense to you? Were you able to see it well?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Ahmad has raised his hand, and then Leland also has raised her hand, and Dumo also. Yes, let's go. Ask. And can we have the next slide as well? Please go ahead, Ahmad. Ask your question, please.
I have one small question. The disability and they have to, the teachers in the schools, in every school, they have to teach the kids from they are kids about disability persons, because we are all human, because they treat the people like because they treat disability like they are not humans, they are not people that like normal people, so that's why they have to learn in the schools the disability.
Absolutely. So what you are saying is that because, as somebody already said, that sometimes we don't have the resources. So we only plan for some people. Maybe we are the majority, but 15% of the whole population, global 15% of the whole world population is facing one or the other kind of a disability. 15%, and it is going to grow. Why? Because people are living longer. So you know that after 60 or after 65, there are people with more disabilities because of their age and because of the time frame of the body is giving up. So there is going to be more disabilities. So if we are going to only plan for people who seem to appear as being able to do everything, then it is not going to work. There are going to be more and more people with disabilities, and you are going to have them all accumulated, and there will be very few who will be using the facilities in the society. So it is important that the infrastructure and the institutions are all giving all equipments. You should not say, oh, because we don't get blind people here, we don't have blind facilities. Why not? It should be part of the community. If you are writing in English and French and Kiswahili and Urdu and Persian or whatever languages, then why not that? Why is that not a language? Why is sign language not a language common to all? It should be. So if a person should be part of your whole society. So you cannot plan for some and not for others. Yes, and there was somebody else, and there is Ndomu asking question as well. If I have left out somebody, please raise your hand. Yes, let's go.
All right, thank you, Mom. For me, it's actually not a question. It's rather a comment based on the video and what you have ably said so far. I think the problem is not disability, but our narrowed, point of view when we talk about the people that are disabled. If we come to agreement that being disabled is part of humanity, then even our social, economic, political and all form of planning, we are going to include our friends that are differently abled. I think that's where the whole problem is. But the problem that we have, especially here in Africa, I'm speaking from at least a Zambian perspective, most of the buildings we have, most of the plannings that we have, they don't factor in disabled people as part of society. So we create a narrative on the minds of those that are disabled, like they are not able to do anything for themselves. So we relegate them to depend on us, which becomes a burden. That's why most households are still poor, because we create that narrative. I hope we rise above that. Thank you.
Very right. And so now you know that why that theory is coming from where? Because it's coming from the charity theory, that these people are just not going to be able, they don't have the ability, but they have the ability. And also you have to start saying people with disability and not disabled. They are not disabled, they have the ability if you give them the equipments. You understand? The technology is there, the hearing aids are there, sight is there. By fingers they can, people without sight are able to read from their fingers, aren't they? So they have the ability and the capacity. It's just that those resources are not given to them. Just like you would want to upgrade your computer and upgrade your system and put a new eye lens and put a new glasses and put a new hearing aid and all that. So these these accessories are there. And the people are able. It's just that they do not have the resources. So those resources have to be provided. There are barriers, attitudinal barriers, like you said in Zambia, that the attitude is like that. So this is an attitudinal barriers. So next time we are going to call them PWDs, people with disability, not disabled. They are not disabled. They are able, but they have got some disability, which is what is stopping them. There is a barrier. Yes, Lillian is getting quite upset. Lillian, go ahead. What's the question?
Ma'am.
Lillian, you had a question? Go ahead. We need to move.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, go ahead.
I go ahead.
Yes,
Hello,
somebody
ma'am.
else. Yes, go ahead. Who is
Yes, I just want to add on this. The problem is people we do not understand now somebody can acquire or can acquire disability or be impairment. Disability is the capacity to perform particular activities. It's an ability to perform some or the task of daily life. This can happen. This can happen at the prenatal stage, perinatal stage, or postnatal stage. These ought to be taught in the society, so that we all move at the same level. That we can acquire them at a different stage, so that the impaired should feel that they are part of the society. Thank you. That's what I wanted to add on.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for adding on. See, disability was a term used because it was compared with the different kind of, it was compared with human beings like us who have all the abilities to do a certain function. But if we are measured upon, go and take a rest with a wheelchair, will we be able to do it? We may not be able to do it. But a person with a disability may be able and has a wheelchair will go for the rest. So this disability term came into being because it was compared with a human being like us. We have never accepted these diversities, these differences. We are just saying that a complete human being looks like this person. But we do not understand that that is also a variety which God has given. This is a different sample. It's a different variety. So they are not, this disability is disabled. Disability is not to function like us, but they are able to function like somebody else. So let's end this here, and thank you for adding on. Is Ahmad wanted to say something, or can I move on? Jawad, is there anybody who wants to say anything, or should we move on?
No, ma'am, there's no hand raised.
So now let's go to the right-based model. Okay, now what is a right-based model? Exactly what we have coming to, that all human beings are equal and that disability rights don't have to be differently set. They are humans. So if they are humans, they need to be given the right to all opportunities, right to education, right to have party, right to get married, right to a good life, right to everything. So you cannot say that because you are a person with a disability, you are to know you cannot go to school because this school cannot teach you. So it is the society which is not giving them the complete right. It has discriminated and it is making human rights separate from disability rights. In actuality, human rights and disability rights are the same thing. It is just that the people variety designs are different. God has made different designs. So like in shape, color, gender, we have different variety. In the same way, in the kind of abilities, we have different varieties. This is what right-based model says, and therefore each other we need to not to say pity on them, but we need to protect. If somebody is trying to carry a person who is trying to walk and said, no, 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 wait, I will carry you, you have to protect. You have to say, no, let the person walk themselves. Let them walk with difficulty. If the person is walking with his knees and with the hands, and you are saying, oh, let us carry them, and no, that's their life. They have to learn with it and they have to live with it with dignity. So we have to respect them for what they are doing, because that's how they live and that's how their life is. And that's what right-based model preaches. Is this clear? Is it clear? Yeah, next slide. Is clear for everybody? Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's very clear. Thank
Next
you.
slide. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, now there comes the disability pride model. Disability pride model is a upcoming idea, upcoming theory, upcoming understanding of people like you who are concerned, who are wanting to do part, who are wanting to play their part. This is the theory is for them. It is people like you who have brought this idea, who say that disability is a culture. Just like there are different cultures, people with, certain kind of differences have their own way of behaving. For example, language, for example, the kind of health beliefs, the kind of food, the kind of clothes. Or people who live in the mountains are going to be different. People who live in the deserts are going to be different. So there is a different community. And what is a community? A group of people with the same, with some similarity. A community is a group of people with some similarity. So since disability is a similar thing within this group of people, within themselves, they are a whole big community. Despite their disabilities being different, despite somebody being differently disabled and other being differently yet they are a community in themselves, and they have an identity. They are the people with disabilities. They have an identity. They have their own experience. They have their own friendships. They have their own life. They get married. They have children. They have their own life. So it's that same as all of us. They are same as all of us, yet different as each one of us. We are all different from each other, but we are same in the same time. In the same way, they are different from all of us, but they are same in just like us. They are able, they have a different set of abilities. We cannot do what they can do, and they cannot do what we can do. But if we are trained to do, we will be able to do what they can do. And if they are trained, they will be able to do what we are able to do. So people with disabilities does not have to be like any other to be human. They have to be just uniquely human, just a human being just like all of us. So they don't have to be like us in order to be treated as human. They are human, and that's what they are. So can we look at video number 2, please?
Sure, ma'am, yes.
Does it matter if we take a little longer to warm up? Does it matter if we look a little different? Does it matter if we speak in another language? Does it matter if we see in different ways? Are we limited because of what we do not have? Or can we be limitless because of what we have? Are we not a child, a parent, a colleague, or a friend? Do we not have strengths, passions, and dreams?
Perhaps if you see us
for who we are
and not for our disabilities,
We are not that different after all.
Look beyond my disability. See the true me.
Okay, so your feelings now. Are you understanding that there are people like you and me? And they are not just bodies. They are just not they and us. They are we. It's all us. They are a different model. We are a different model. Okay, so are we to an agreement here? Leland, you have a question. How can we treat people with disability if we don't accept help? You have to accept help. Okay, go next, please. Next slide, please. Yes, Patricia.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to make a comment. Disability, yes. Sometimes it's from our families. The last statement that was made, that we look at them as who they are. Sometimes society cannot be blamed. Sometimes it's from the homes where they're coming from, where they are being discriminated, or the family don't want other people to know them. The same family has labeled them. So even themselves within the family where they are coming from, they have grown up with that discrimination and the labeling and the negatives that they receive from the family. So I'm just adding a comment that if we have someone with a disability in a family, it's us to make them feel positive. It's us to make them realize their full potential. It's us to make them have that self-esteem, because everything begins from the family. Even a child, as you said, the cognitive starts from inception. As a child is born into a family, what they are seeing in the family, what they are learning, it's the same as people with a disability. The way they are handled can also have a negative impact. So we need to be careful the way we handle them just from our own families. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And Patricia, it's about how, see, when you have a child is born, and if the child has got all the human bodies perfectly okay, then you will celebrate it. People will come and they will give you congratulations and you will celebrate it. But if there is a child who looks different, maybe does not have one arm, then that child is not celebrated. So this is where it starts. And many of you have asked what we can do. So what you can do, you can be the best advocates. with these parents come with a different mindset. They know nothing better. So we would want people like you should be advocating, writing, advocating, behaving, talking to people, talking to just going to schools, talking to teachers, talking to and advocating disability as being an ability to do something else, as being able to do something different. They don't have to do everything in our way. Some people may be able to eat with the right hand, but some people can also eat with the left hand. It is another thing that you accept it or you don't accept it. So it is these things, one of your what should I say, one of your the aim should be of talking to people, talking to the healthcare providers, talking to everywhere, that what is a disability and that this disability is not something of a sin. It is more of a difference. It is more of a diversity, and they are teaching us how to play with a wheelchair, how to play things without hands, yet be happy, yet have fun. But people, when they start discriminating, that becomes a problem. And yes, like here Ahmad is saying that if somebody is on a wheelchair, usually our idea would be to go and help that person. We will push that wheelchair, or somebody is trying to crawl or trying to walk or trying to listen or trying to read something by the fingers, then we will go and say, oh, let me help you. But they haven't asked you. You don't go around doing that. You are demeaning that person. You have to give them dignity, because that is their way of life. That is how they know. They never had hands, so they don't know how to work with that. So this is it. Let's go into inclusion. Is everything okay till now? Are you feeling happy, better? Do you feel that you have more knowledge now than when you first came?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so you're feeling happy. Yeah, so we have, because very little time, so let us go on to disability inclusion. Now, when we talk about inclusion, it is very, very important that we realize that you bring people into a party, you bring people into a family, like you said, that people are there, those people with disabilities are living within that family, but yet they are not recognized as able people. So presence without participation can be more isolating than no presence at all. If you don't want them, it is even better, because you are not hurting their soul. You are not hurting them as humans, but you are bringing them in the party. You are bringing them into the family. You are, that person is there, and then you are saying this person cannot do anything. Don't tell him or her anything. They can't do it. So inclusion is the process whereby every person, irrespective age, disability, gender. See, disability is just like a gender difference, just like age difference. In the same way, there is disability. Religion, sexual preference, or nationality. Who wishes to access and participate in something, you have to allow that person to participate and cannot discriminate or say, no, you cannot do this because you have this disability. Just like you do for age, you say men can do this, women cannot do this. This is discrimination. In inclusion, you have to give both gender. In the same way, age. You cannot say that, a girl of 10-year-old and a boy of 10-year-old, they cannot do the same things. They can do, because of the developmental, there is no difference in gender development of human being. So disability is in the same way, it's just a label of discrimination. And when you want to include, it does not mean that you make special classroom or special workplaces for them, or you give them special privileges, or you feel sorry, or you feel keep going ahead and helping them. No, you don't do that. You just support them in living, in being able to use the abilities they have. Can I have the next slide? So if you want to support them, the question that how do we support them? Support them by helping them to do what they are able to do. and give them the separate accessories or separate things by which they will be able to do what you can do. For example, if they can hear, they should be using audio lessons. If they can see, they should be using visual. But if they cannot hear, then you can't just say, oh, because this person cannot hear, I will not be able to. Yeah, they can see, so they can read. Okay, so now there are categories of how people are playing with inclusion. And I want to just bring this out, that one is the exclusion. Exclusion is where you tell them it's them and it's us. This society is for us and they are different. They are not from our society, which is what we do. When we develop our infrastructures, we exclude them. We say this society is only for able people like us. They are all not included. So that is exclusion. The second is integration. Integration is where we are playing with these people. What you do is you bring them in groups and you say, okay, you can be part of our social group. You can come and sit in the wheelchair, but you will not be able to come to the stage because the stage does not have a prank to take you up. So you will not come there. Or because you are blind, we will give you a special sitting arrangement. So this is integration. People are making a game with us. They are saying we are integrating, but you are integrating with discrimination. You are only adding parts which you are liking. The rest is still the same. They are still different. They are still not like you. So you are treating them differently and their services are different. Again, as we said, all services have to be equally accessible to everybody. Okay, then you come to segregation. Segregation is, again, you differentiate special groups for these people, special blind groups, special groups with different kinds of disabilities, and you do that. So do you segregate them and you say, oh, they are part of our society, but if they want to see if they want to participate in sports, they have special sports for them. They cannot participate in the regular sports. So that is to segregate, to differentiate them. Why are they no part of the same sports? Because the facilities that they require is not there. That's why you have differentiated them. Inclusion. Inclusion means to make them part of the whole. The whole system, all the infrastructures will have the facilities for the blind. It is a language that everybody should be able to, should be everywhere. And so you should be able to, everybody, those who are not able to see should be able to even read that, that letter, that language. Am I making sense to you? So here are the kind, when you are designing your program or you are designing or talking to people and advocating, you have to advocate inclusion, that please let all facilities be there and let anybody take part in it. And like somebody said, Patricia, that it is the families. The families are doing that because those people with disabilities are not given the equal status. If you take that person out, then you will have to have wheelchair, you have to buy a wheelchair, or you have to buy a special stick, or you have to carry this person, because they are not taught how to walk and talk and live in our society. We have defined our society very differently and we have kept them away from it. So this is why families also are unable to adapt, because the family is a very minute, they follow what the infrastructure is. So it's people like you, young people like you, advocates here like you, who will role model and who will in society try to include, kind of try to play inclusion and promote it. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, now who is forming your attitudes and behaviors in the society? Your government system, your belief system, your education, your business models. Do you know that earlier I used to see that the business model, the clothes, they used to be only, and they still are promoting some specific colors or specific designs or specific for some kind of models. They will never show you a different model. They will only sell the clothes based on the model that they have. So they choose a model, they design a clothing for that model, and you think that because that clothing is of this brand, you have to look like that model. They are cheating you. That is not right. They have to design clothes for you the way you are. You don't have to become like their model, but everything is just going the other way around. Fashion and styles, nobody talks about the people with disabilities in the fashion and style. Have you had any person who may be having some disability model something? No. The music, the culture norms, and also something very interesting is if you look at the media or if you look at the movies, you will look at the villain. The villain will usually be a disabled person. He will have a scar, he will have a blind, he will have a bad eye, he will have a bad leg, he will be somebody who's will have a a false arm, or will have somebody. So if you please go back and look at some of the movies, and you will see that most of the villains that they propagate is usually disabled. So how is these behaviors and attitudes are forming and they are being reinforced into the community is by all these systems which we are not addressing. What is the use of our education if these things are being influenced in the same way? Even within the education system, our education system does not allow inclusion. It does not give everybody an equal chance. If somebody has got an 80% and is a blind person, it's very difficult for that person to get an admission in the university just because that person is blind, but he's got a 90%, but they don't have the facilities, so they cannot give the admission. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, let's get inspired. Here you have look at this person, Nick. Do you know this person? He was born without arms and legs. He is a motivational speaker and he is married, has children, and is living a wonderful life and making a lot of money through his motivational talks. This is Nick Vujicic. Okay, so this is a person who has defied all these formulas of disabilities. Andrea Bocelli. Andrea Bocelli is completely blind person who is a songwriter, plays the piano, plays the flute, is a fiddle player as well, but is completely blind. There is Frida Kahlo, who was affected by polio but is very famous for her amazing self-portraits. And then you have this person, Sudha, who lost her leg due to some infection, and she got a prosthetic leg, and today she continues to be a dancer. She continues to be a dancer with her leg. So there are people who have defied all the systems, all the society. They have defied and they've given you examples that we can do it if you want to do it. So kindly look at these people and get inspired and be an inspired different people as well. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, now why are we talking? You may say, oh, this is just a minute group of people. Why are we so concerned about it? The real fact is that 1 billion people today are living in some kind of disability. 200 million of these experience extreme difficulty in functioning. There is a rise, as I told you, in the persons with disability due to chronic diseases, and 2/3 of all the years lived with a disability in low and middle income countries are due to chronic diseases. So if we want to look at the health perspective, you have to then help the people with chronic disease to live healthily and not to become dependent. Okay, today we know that 15% of the or 16% of the world's population, which is 1 out of every 6 individual is going to face or is facing one kind of a disability. 1 in every 6. It could be not visible, it could be invisible. And nowadays the fashion about mental health and health well-being and all this is coming in because it is desired. It is being sold because 1 in 6 are having some kind of an invisible disability. Is that making sense to you? So it is important that you people are not wasting time and we are not wasting time. We are learning from each other so that we can do this crusade together. We are in it together, and let those people with disabilities also join the force. If you can change one person, that person can become the largest advocate for you. So just try to influence one person. Don't go for the whole big lot. Influence one person, that person will be your advocate. Next, please. Can we see the video, please? Okay, everybody talks about sustainable development goals. And how are we including disability, people with disability in all this? We don't know, but let's see the video. International Day 20. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So there was a message that let's fight this or let's address this by and with. So you are not to become onlookers. You are not going to do things onto them. You have to have them recognize that they are people with disabilities. They are equal human beings, and you have to form 1 or 2 advocates who will then take the light and move forward. Just like you have that stick racing, you take the stick and you run, and then you give the stick to another person. You have to influence the people with disabilities so that they themselves become the greatest advocates for themselves, and that they are not the onlookers and they are not people on whom we are to do things. They are people who have to do it for themselves, and we are there to support them. Okay, let's go the next slide, please. So you have to become a ally. You have to become a ally. Today, all of you have become ally. You have to acknowledge and respect individual experiences and abilities. You have to learn the different disability types. You have to leverage your influence to promote accessibility and inclusion. Use your influence and yield the floor to people with disabilities to help identify and eliminate barriers. Do not make yourself a barrier. Don't do things for them. Let them do it by themselves. You just have to be the strength behind them. Eliminate the barrier. Even your attitude that I have to do for them. I have to do for them. You don't have to do for them. They will do for themselves. You have to just be there. Support them. Okay? Influence the policies. Influence the systems. Influence the families. Influence the educationists. Influence them all. Tell them we don't want to do things onto them. They are equal human beings. They need some equipment. Let's buy and provide them too, so that they can help them. So that's the end of where we are. I hope you have learned and that it has been a useful experience for you. Can I have the next slide? How has the experience been for you today? Hello?
Amazing and insightful session.
Full of learning.
Was it a learning experience?
The experience has been great, ma'am. Thank you so much. I've personally learned a lot. There is a lot that needs to be done in society.
Absolutely. A lot first we have to learn, and we have to learn from them. Let us test our knowledge. The theory which says they are sinful and cursed, what kind of a model will that bring? These people are sinful and they are cursed. What kind of model will come out?
Moral.
Moral model. They need pity and charity. The theory is they are helpless, hopeless people. So this is a, what kind of a model is that? Charity, medical, right-based pride.
That's charity.
Charity model. And they are part of human race, just a different variety. They are all humans like us, just a different variety of human beings. Just like you have your iPhones, which are different. So that is a right-based model. They bring diversity and contribution. Pride model. And there is something wrong with them.
Unity, pride.
They are a medical model. Okay. So this is the end here, and give me your comments and can I just take a minute and just respond to some of the things all of you had said that you want to know more about inclusion. Have I answered all your expectations or not?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So we will have a part 2 of second revised thing on this. Okay. So Jawad, I am done. Thank you so very much. I'm looking at the comments, and thank you so much for the amazing comments. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Yeah,
Please.
you're welcome. How is this experience been for you? Patricia has raised her hand.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for
Yes, ma'am. This has been a very, very beautiful experience. And my own observation is that, yes, we have gained a lot of knowledge, but is it possible that we can have some kind of a full course, something that is more than...
Yeah. See, what you have to do is you have to start telling yourself and just start to change your attitude.
Just what we had today, because this is very, very crucial in society. We need...
Go ahead, Patricia.
Yes. I was thinking that if we can have more of what we have learned today. I know you are very equipped in this course. So it was just for 2 hours, but I think and I feel we would work very well if we can be given a full course. I don't know how this can be done.
We can work out
weekly. Yes,
so,
weekly
Patricia,
we have 2 hours.
Patricia, can I just give you something? Patricia, what we can do is there are people who are saying that we appreciate. Patricia, what I want you to do is take a case study and send it to me, and every sometime we will study that case study and make a work plan on it. Does that sound good for you?
Thank you. That is very, very good.
Send it to Mahin and her team. Send a case study, whatever small case study, like the family you talked about. You take an interview, meet with that family, make your own case study and send it, and we will open up a day and we will sit for an hour and discuss ways and means of how we can help being a different family for them. Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And this offer is for everybody else, also everybody. Leland, thank you. Sorry if you felt that we were not able to attend to your questions, but I hope that you got what questions you had.
Ma'am.
Yes.
I
Don't
would
worry.
like
Thank
to
you
come
so
up.
much. Thank you so much.
Yes, Musumba.
I just wanted to say that how do you help me come up with an institution for impaired people? I
Yes.
started some time back, but I failed to do that due to some challenges.
Yeah. Okay, Sumba, I would suggest to you that instead of setting up a new thing, because everybody is making small things, and they are only benefiting very small people. If there are bigger, you can write to bigger institutions who are working on these disabilities. You can propose yourself as a volunteer. The biggest contribution you can be doing is by volunteering and learning how to communicate and how to be part of that community. Because as I said, people with disabilities are a community. We don't understand their culture. We don't know their culture. So we have to first join their culture, understand them, and then only can we bring change in our government systems and infrastructure and education and all that. So if you are really committed, join somebody as a volunteer and bring your knowledge to them and advocate and influence other people so that there are more and more, instead of opening up a new charity or a new place, because again you will be doing charity, and charity sometimes even harms, because once the hand takes, it wants more, it never closes. The hand that opens never closes. It will always be like this. So we don't want them to do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, can I leave now, Jawad? I think you are going to be giving certificates now, so if I can take leave.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot for this session, this amazing session. And I would like to address the participants. And I would like to say that thank you for your participation. And we would be providing the certificates till tomorrow. And we will also share the material along with videos with you in group. So have a good
And
weekend.
thank you everybody for your appreciation, and good luck with whatever you're going to be doing next. And write to me whenever you want to. You have questions, I'm always available.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye, Mom. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Enjoy your life.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Okay, be happy.
Thank you.